The NBA season has officially come to a close, which means it's time for the NBA to hand out their annual awards. So in this video, I'll be going over who I think should win every award, not necessarily who I believe will win it. But yeah, this will be a lengthy video, so as always, if you agree or disagree with literally anything, then just comment down below and I'll be sure to respond. With that said, let's get into it. Now, starting over Coach of the Year, we have Mark Daigneault. Now, Coach of the Year is an award where literally every year you can make a case for 6 to 8 different coaches, but my argument for Daigneault is simple. He's coaching the best defense in the NBA, and he has the second highest net rating in the history of the league. And this is with a team struggling with injuries all year long, with Chet Holmgren, who's their second best player. He missed 52 games this year, and that's just the beginning of their injury problems. And I just don't know how you could go against that. Other candidates that are great options are Kenny Atkinson, who's a likely winner, as well as JB Bickerstaff, who's done a great job helping Detroit turn everything around. But I just don't know how you could argue against historical success, especially when you look at the fact that the Thunder aren't a super team at all. They're a well-constructed roster, but I don't think if you look at their roster, you see, okay, that's the second best team in NBA history because that's what they've been playing at so far. So it's hard to argue against Mark Daigneault. Now, for Clutch Player of the Year, this is a pretty easy choice, and we have Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is legitimately one of the clutchest players I've ever seen, and it feels like whenever the Knicks need a bucket in the clutch, Brunson delivers, and the numbers reflect this. Jalen Brunson averaged the most clutch points in the NBA this season since Russell Westbrook in 2017, and overall, Brunson's clutch numbers far exceed every other NBA player this season, making him the clear winner. And there's a reason why the Knicks are #1 clutch points per game this season. And next we have 6th man of the year, we're going with Peyton Pritchard. Now Pritchard's role in the Celtics is huge. He's essentially the only scorer they have on the bench, and despite this, the Celtics are able to maintain what is statistically a top 3 bench in the league, primarily due to Pritchard's offensive ability. Pritchard is averaging 14 points a game on a very efficient 64 true shooting percentage, and this type of efficiency from a 6'1 point guard is incredibly rare. Pritchard is simply a tough cover, and he's comfortable scoring in most areas of the floor, and his 3-point shot making is second to none. With that said, both Malik Beasley and Ty Jerome are respectable options with good arguments to win this award, but what Pritchard's doing is something that has impressed me more than almost every 6 man I remember seeing in a while. Next up for Rookie of the Year, we have Stephon Castle. This rookie class was looked at as a weaker, underwhelming class as a whole, but this couldn't be further from the truth, as this year, this class showed that this was a legit draft class led by Stephon Castle. Respect to Zach Ricochet and Alex Sarr, but to me, this was an easy choice. Stephon Castle's leading all rookies in points, and he's 4th in assists, and this is all while taking the toughest assignments every game on the defensive side of the ball, and doing a great job at that, as Castle's already one of the better on-ball defenders in basketball. And on the offensive side of the ball, Castle's rapidly improving. He can get to the rim on anyone just because he's just so much more physical and athletic than most of his matchups, and he also has an incredible handle. Towards the second half of the season, he showed just how great he is at initiating contact on drives, especially the rip-through move, which he got so much better at it, which is a huge reason why. Since All-Star break, he shot 6 free throws a game, which for a rookie playing 28 minutes is pretty elite. He's also a really good passer, and it's incredibly rare for him to miss anyone who's open or has a slight advantage even. And the sky's truly the limit for Castle, and as someone who's a huge CP3 fan who's watched every game of his season so far, I'd be very surprised if Castle doesn't make multiple All-NBA teams throughout his career. Now for Most Improved Player, we have Dyson Daniels. Now in my opinion, this is a pretty easy choice. Dyson Daniels has seen significant growth in all facets of basketball, and the difference in production from Dyson last year compared to this year is actually baffling. I was always a fan of Dyson, so what he's been able to do on the defensive end is not that surprising to me, as he's been doing this his entire young career. He's just finally getting the opportunity to show everyone he's capable on that end. Daniels' offensive improvement has been a sight to see. He's getting comfortable with the ball in his hands, and he's finally settling to the NBA pace offensively, and it is showing. This season, Daniels is shooting 6% higher than he did last year on the rim, on triple the amount of attempts. His ability to create offense for himself and get quality looks has been a stark difference compared to how it's been from years prior. And though he's still below average, Daniels' jump shooting is also rapidly improving, which has greatly boosted his offensive value. This season, he is shooting just over 36% on spot-up threes, and if you would have told me that would have been the case before the season, I would definitely have not believed you. Now for DPOY, we're going with Amen Thompson. Now I know this will be controversial, and I'll explain why later, but for some reason, Amen's getting no buzz for DPOY, which makes no sense to me. Amen is the most complete defensive player in basketball. He has great length, generational athleticism, elite instincts, and he is fantastic on and off the ball. Just a few weeks ago, we've seen Amen Thompson on back-to-back nights completely lock up 2 of the greatest offensive players ever in Steph Curry and Shea, and nobody seems to care. And that's a trend that's been going on all year, as Amen's been claiming star players the whole season. And while most defenders are completely dialed in on their tough assignments and often start to neglect the other aspects of defense, like help defense or rotations, Amen is the opposite. He just has a relentless motor and still involved in every off-ball action, even if he's guarding one of the best players in the world. Amen can guard 1 through 4 without a problem, so you have someone who plays on a top 5 defense, can guard 4 positions, can protect the rim, and is also a top-end on and off the ball defender. And what world is that not getting significant consideration from DPOY? Draymond and Mobley are the favorites to win the award, and I'll put the stat comparison on the screen between them 3. And this isn't me saying that Amen is getting robbed or any of that, just because all 3 guys deserve it. I would just personally choose Amen, and I just wish that he got more consideration for the award. I just feel like they're more biased against wings and guards for the award, and it makes sense. Like, those are the more impactful players on defense generally, but I think with Wemby and Chet not hitting the consideration mark, or not consideration mark, my bad, the game mark or whatever, I think Amen should be able to get it this season, in my opinion. But hey, if Mobley or Draymond get it, fair play. But I'll just go with Amen. For MVP, we have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, guys, let's be serious for a second. Shai's legitimately had one of the greatest scoring seasons ever, averaging 33 points a game on just 34 minutes a night, while being one of the most efficient players in the entire NBA. Without his best teammate, he's completely spearheading a team that has the second highest net rating in the NBA and won 68 games. And this is why playing in arguably the toughest conference we've ever seen. Shai is somehow carrying his team to a top 3 offense, which is absurd given the lack of offensive talent this team has, which just shows you how elite he is and just how impactful he is as a player. Shai this year had one of the most flawless seasons we've ever seen, as he's very good or elite in just about every area of basketball, which is something we can only say so often. Shai to me is the very clear MVP despite Jokic playing at an MVP level. I just think the legendary scoring, the two-way dominance, as well as the historical team success makes it hard to argue against him. And even if you want to look at the impact metrics, well, I personally don't really like using advanced stats because I just think a lot of times they could be misleading. But I know Jokic fans normally like to do that, so if you look at them this year, they say Shai should be the MVP. So yeah, with that said, that concludes this video. Thank you guys for watching. It's much appreciated. And as always, comment down on anything that you disagree with. I always respond and either further explain my stance or I'll debate with you if you like. With that said, have a great day.